Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash. So again, I am back today with a other live video using OBS. So I apologise if anything goes wrong. As you can see, I've got the whole screen recording system at the moment up and I'll get rid of that in a second. But hopefully all goes well. Okay, so in this video, it's actually going to be my review on the Broken Realms first book for Warhammer Age Sigmar, and of course that being Morathi. So what I decided to do in this video, as unfortunately I wanted to do this review last weekend, however the order I made for my Broken Realms Morathi book didn't come through, and then eventually I had to cancel it, and then by the time of how long it would have taken to try and get a other one delivered to me, because here in the UK everything is shut at the moment for stores, so I had to get it delivered. I ended up just buying it on the app because it was just easier, and to be honest it was cheaper as well, so I just ended up doing that, which unfortunately then means that I couldn't do a normal book review that I tend to do, or I have done in the past, or what most other people do. We have a camera pointing down and you just nicely go through the pages, and because I couldn't do that, I didn't want to do a whole review on the book, and as by now there has been a lot of reviews on this book, I instead just wanted to give you my personal thoughts on what I like about it and what I dislike as well. So this video, hopefully it shouldn't be too long of a one. It'll just be sort of my quick summary, if you like, of the book. And like I say, these are my personal opinions, so if you disagree with them, that's absolutely fine, but this is just what I personally thought upon reading this book. Now I'm just going to get up the video on my phone as well, as this is a live video, just in case anyone is watching this live in the chat. It means that I can answer any questions. Okay, fantastic, Luke, thank you very much for letting me know it's working. All good. Okay, so the first thing I want to get to with the Broken Realms Morathi is going to be the narrative. So now I'm not going to go full and deep in depth really at all with this narrative. This essentially is going to be, again, a summary, because I don't want to give any spoilers, as for myself, when I was reading it, I generally really enjoyed it, and this is coming from someone who's severely dyslexic, so I don't really like reading. Reading Warhammer is probably the most enjoyable reading I can do, and still I don't really like it. But I can tell you, reading the narrative for this book, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of interesting things. Series that I've seen pop up on this channel of I think there's 5 videos going through each act of the lore. There might be 3, I don't know. But anyway, check that out if you want to have more in-depth lore. But all I'm going to tell you is that, like I say, it's very interesting. It pushes the story forward. And what I really enjoy about it personally for myself is that it's got a nice campaign in the lore, which allows you to basically replay key and certain events that happen in the lore, which featuring different armies as well. So how it works is, let's say you have one opponent and you want to play out this campaign throughout the next several months. Lockdown isn't in place, everything's fine. Let's just say you can play some games again. So what you do is you look at the battles you need to play, what battle plans you need to play, and I believe there are 6. And what you do is you look at the battle plan, and it corresponds to what armies need to fight that battle plan. So there's ones like Morathi has to fight with her Daughters of Khaine, obviously, versus Slaves of Darkness, or there might be one of a Cities of Sigmar focused around Daughters of Khaine and Morathi versus Idoneth Deepkin, and it changes. And there's even one with Beasts of Chaos in it as well, I believe. So it gives you and your friend an excuse to be able to play lots of different armies that you may have in your collection, to really bring this narrative to life and bring from what you can read on the pages to what you can actually play on the tabletop. And I know some people here are just interested in match play, which is absolutely fair enough, and we'll get to that sort of stuff in a moment. But for myself, I absolutely love narrative and I really enjoy the lore, so this is something I'm going to be really excited to do. And adding on to that as well is, I recently did a poll on the channel to see if people would be interested in me replaying these battles as I've just described in the campaign on the channel, and the response to that was a overwhelming yes, which I was really glad to hear, as it was a friend of mine from the Discord, Lucas Chester, and I thought it would be a really cool idea, because There's going to be a bunch of us playing it from the Discord. Remember, if anyone wants to join in on that campaign, just join the Discord and we can get chatting, because we will be playing this on Tabletop Simulator, which means we can play any army we want. It's that simple, and it just means that there's going to be a whole bunch of us playing it. So it's not just going to be 2 people. There's going to be lots of different generals and stuff, and it's something I am very much looking forward to bringing to the channel, hopefully within the next few weeks. So more of that to come, I'll say. And again, I've kind of already mentioned this, but I think the narrative, it most really nicely reflects itself into the lore as well. Sorry, not into the lore, sorry. It really reflects itself into the rules of the game, because you'll notice when you look through this book, some of the rules in this book aren't the most, competitive or the strongest. But when you read the first part of the book, when you read the narrative, which I'd probably say is around anywhere from half to 2/3, so a really big chunk in this book, when you read that, you'll see why certain things are the way in the rules for this book for those certain armies. Don't get me wrong, there's some rules which we'll get to that I'm not a fan of at all, but you'll see how it is reflected. So I really like that. I think they did a really good job on that one, Games Workshop did. And then again, yeah, just to finish it off really for the narrative, it makes me excited for the future books to come for Broken Realms. And I think I read somewhere on a Warhammer community site on an article that there's 5 books. Don't take my word on that, but I think that's what I read. But there's going to be, I would say, at least 3 to 5 books, so it'll be interesting to see. Okay, so that's all I really want to say about narrative. If you want more in-depth stuff on that, please go check out 2 Plus Tough, as his stuff is really good, and he does a really good job at, how do we say, if you find it hard to just read, these blocks of text and everything, he makes it very interestingly read to yourself, so it's easy to remember in his own edited way. So that's cool. Anyway, going on to the next bit. So what I decided to do is, do likes and dislikes, and go through each of the armies that are featured in this. And starting with that is going to be the Daughters of Khaine. Okay, right. Just read what Luke has messaged me in the chat, and that is that the camera covers a bit of the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disable the camera, because then hopefully it would have sorted this bit out. Yeah, that should. If Luke, if you can let me know if that's any better, mate, then that's great. And then I won't be featuring this video, but that's absolutely fine. This is just a quick one about my likes and dislikes. So yeah, Luke, let me know if that's a better. But anyway, on to the Daughters of Khaine. So what I like about them is that they have a new sub-allegiance, and they also have 3 new War Scroll battalions, which in summary really means that you have more ways to play the army. There's another cool thing is the Melusai, and so Melusai, the Medusa models, basically, if you're not aware, the snake ones, if you like, and Morathi have been made better, and you can also include some units from one of the cities, well, kind of a city of Sigmar. I'm just going to call it a city's army. I don't want to ruin any spoilers for the narrative. But that city is called, I really can't pronounce that name. All I can do is remember what people were sort of taking the mick and calling it, which is Cobra High or Cobra Kai or something like that. Basically, one of the cities, you can include some Daughters of Khaine units in that. So it means that your Daughters of Khaine army has, more ways to play. You can even play in different armies if you like. Basically, how you would normally include 1 in 4 units can be a Stormcast Eternal unit in most it's Sigmar armies. Instead of that, you can include a Daughters of Khaine unit in that army, which we'll get to in a moment. So the nice thing about Morathi getting better as well is one of the cool things is you actually play with both models on the table at the same time. It's not like you start with the little Morathi and then she goes into the big Morathi. And what I like about that is you're really making the most out of your models. Again, as a lot of the time it was little Morathi and then she turned into big Morathi very quickly as she didn't want to get killed. So now you're actually maximising those models, and Morathi has got better as well. Like I say, the Melusai getting better is a big plus for myself, because that's how I'd like to run the army. I said this when I was talking about why play Daughters of Khaine, and I know which elves are very good, and to be honest, I preferred Sister Slaughter. I think they look absolutely awesome. but Medusae are the way I would like to go, as I think they look the coolest, and I like elite armies. So that is why I would go with Medusae for sure. And now the fact that they've got a bit better as well does really help with that one. Okay, but when we get to the negative for this, and that's really that spamming Witch Elves is still the most competitive way to play this army. Which, I'm sad to say, however, the only way that was going to change is if they nerfed the mechanics that allow them to be so good, or to nerf Witch Elves themselves, which, being a Daughters of Khaine player, you wouldn't really want that as well, would you? So, and if they made them Medusae even better than Witch, then you know you're just talking silly. And I know it would be hard to make them better because they do very different jobs, but that's still the best way to play the army if you want to, you know, win as many tournaments as you can, really. But the fact that Medusae can now be up there to still be competitive, and not just like you're taking them because they can be good, but mainly just because you want to take them, they can still be very competitive. And that's what when I say still, I mean they can now be very competitive, and that's what I like. So yeah, that's cool. Other thing to say for the Daughters of Khaine, though, is you know, the Canary units, basically the Harpies, they can no longer come down really late in the game, so that means that you can't really basically make them come down, basically deep strike into the enemy territory, take an objective really late in the game, win the game that way. So that's something you got to bear in mind. They're still good, but you can't do that last very late minute objective grabbing. So that's just something you need to remember. Okay, so that is my likes and dislikes of the Daughters of Khaine in the Broken Realm Series book. So going on to the next one, which is Cities of Sigmar. So you're going to get 2 new sub-allegiance in this, which is Misthaven, I believe it is pronounced, and like I say, that Cobra Kai one. I don't know, I put another ha at the end of it, but anyway. So you've got that one, and you've got 1 new War Scroll Battalion. The narrative really is reflected in the rules, and like I said, I don't want to give any spoilers, but you'll easily see when you read the narrative of how it is reflected. All I'm going to say is, you know, it's funny how these cities are focused very much on Dark Elves and, you know, Daughters of Khaine and Morathi. You know, I wonder why it's that and not Sigmar. Okay, and then it says, well, then I've put a way to include Daughters of Khaine models in one of the cities, which I say is like the Cobra Kai one. And that's because, like I say, 1 in 4 units can be Daughters of Khaine unit. It can be that instead of a Stormcast. Now, the only caveat I will say to that is the fact that the Stormcast Eternals kind of fitted better in the Cities of Sigmar, because the Daughters of Khaine models really synergize in that allegiance, rather than, you know, you can just pluck 1 unit from Daughters of Khaine and put it in a different allegiance and it's still just as good. It's not their War Scrolls that are really good, it's all the synergies that can be put upon them. Their War Scrolls still aren't bad, you know, like I say, Snakes have got better and stuff, so it's not all just about spamming the Witch Elves or the abilities on them, but I don't know how good it's going to be to plop a couple of units from the Daughters of Khaine into a city's army. But what I will say is it does mean that, you know, you could maybe get Morathi in there or something if you wanted to, I think, because obviously it just counts as 1 model and it's then gains that city's keyword. So that could be interesting. And then what I put as a negative here is that it cannot include all the Cities of Sigmar units because, like I mentioned, it's focused on the Dark Elf units, essentially, and that could be a cool thing. I know, like Luke, for example, who's in the chat, he very much likes the Dark Elves, so it can encourage you to build the army you'd like to. But I would say, overall, the cities from this book are not the most competitive cities out there in the slightest. The rules are cool because, like I say, it reflects the narrative, but if you're just a competitive player, you're probably not going to see much in these rules at all, to be completely honest with you. But if you're a narrative player, you're going to really like the idea behind them. Okay, so with my Cities of Sigmar likes and dislikes, let's move on to the next one, which is the Stormcast Eternals. So, what do you get? Now, Stormcast Eternals are, again, quite spoiled on this one, because they're going to get a new allegiance. They are now become the Celestial Sentinels. Or Sentinels even. So what that means is, It's not a new sub-allegiance, it's an actual new allegiance. So look at it this way. Think about your Slaves of Darkness, right? All your Chaos Warrior units, everything like that, you can plop them up and put them in a Blades of Khorne army, okay? And then they get the Khorne keyword, and then they're no longer benefiting from the Slaves of Darkness allegiance abilities, they're benefiting from the Blades of Khorne ones. They've got a whole new allegiance. This is the same with Stormcast. So you're now taking your Stormcast army and you're giving it a new allegiance. So they're no longer coming down from the skies, which I know is a very good and almost like the best thing for them, because it means that how slow they are, they can get to where they need to. But they do get some extra benefits, and just gives them really like new ways to play. They also are going to get 5 new War Scroll battalions, which makes them spoiled brats in comparison to the others. And you can include some Cities of Sigmar units, which again just really gives them more ways to play. And when I say they can include them, how it works, like the what I just said for the Daughters of Khaine, the cities mechanic. So this Stormcast Celestial Sentinels, for every 4 units of that you have, you can include 1 Cities of Sigmar unit. So does that mean that that's going to be the strongest thing to include those units? I don't really think so, because again the Stormcast synergize quite well for themselves, but not to the same extent as I would say the Daughters of Khaine rely on it. So you could put in some interesting things in there, and it's just like a switcheroo of the normal Cities of Sigmar mechanic is what I like. And then you've got some of the older Stormcast models have become better. So what do I mean by this? Mainly the Liberators have become better, and it's just really nice to see that again, to be honest, because as someone who's never played Stormcast, I can't fully relate it to this, but I know many players who have played Stormcast, and they've played them since they came out, and what they've told me their frustration with Stormcast is they're really fed up of getting new releases. And from someone who plays Death and plays nothing but Stormcast really, just doesn't play them, I look at it as, why are you complaining about getting new releases? For example, we've had a reveal of a Slash Mortal release today in the Warhammer preview, and I was like, I can't get over just how happy I am to see that. So when a Stormcast player complains to me about why they get, new releases all the time, why it's annoying. Admittedly, at this point, they haven't had like a new release for about 2 years, but they're annoyed, and the reason behind it is because their older models get outdated, and not in the terms of the models don't look good anymore, but in the terms of Liberators are cool, and then Secretors came around, and it's just like, yeah, we're the better version of you, because we can choose to be really good at saving or really good at fighting, and it's like, at that point, oh, so the Liberators who were just really good at saving just get replaced because they wasn't really good at fighting. They couldn't switch and choose, so they basically get made redundant, and those models are only a couple years old, So it's nice to give some of those, I don't want to say older models, because they're not really old models, but older than the even newer models of the Stormcast. It means that they have a bit more play as well. But when it comes to the negative side for the Stormcast, what I do not like about them is that they have a broken list in this army. And really, when I call it a list, that's not even right. It's basically one of the battalions is broken, as it allows you to, essentially before the game starts, there is a way for you to be 3 inches away from the enemy with an unbelievable amount of Liberators. So basically, you can tie down the enemy in your first turn with 30 plus Liberators, maybe 50, and then the enemy can't do anything about it. They can't chew through that many Liberators, because then they will have I think they have a free up save reroll on 1s at that point, and then the Liberators can actually deal quite a bit of offensive output. And basically, that means that the Stormcast player does that, bogs you down with all these Liberators. Your turn, if you have really anything you can fight back with, you're not going to clear those Liberators, you're not going to get out your deployment zone, and you're not going to be able to take any objectives, and you lost the game. Which is essentially the Stormcast player basically explaining to you that, so what I do is I do all this before the game starts, and then I get to choose who goes first, because I've probably got a 1 or 2 drop army, and then I do all my stuff, and then maybe you get to play the game as well. So I don't like this. This brings back nasty memories of what's it called? Was it the Vanguard or something like that? Anyway, I fought against the Stormcast Eternal army when they had a block of 30 Liberators just teleporting around and just burning objectives, and just there was nothing I could do. And I played against, like I say, an army similar to this, the Vanguard wing, I think it was called. Yeah, that was it. And basically what it was is I didn't get to play the game. They did. And there was nothing I could do about it. And it just really was uninteractive. But the caveat I will say about this, like I say, this broken army, is that it will get fixed. When an FAQ comes out for Broken Realm Series Morathi, this is going to get fixed. Like, without a doubt. Otherwise, it's just stupid. And it just makes you laugh, because how come they can have something like this, which is so powerful, and then, like I say, the cities that we've just reviewed are like, they're alright. They're really good if you like the narrative, otherwise they're not great. And then Stormcast, oh yeah, you got a broken list. Brilliant. So, but I don't want to complain too much about that, because I'm sure, like, probably in about a couple months from now, it's not even going to be a thing. So that's fine. I'm sure it will get fixed. But I think it's good that if all of us mention this, because then, you know, more people will mention it, the more chance Games Workshop will do something about it. So that's all fine. Okay, so going on to the next army, which is the Idoneth Deepkin. So they actually got some nice additions, as they got some mount traits, they got updated war scrolls, and they got a new battalion. And what this really all boils down to is the war scrolls being better, and this is for your got to try and remember the names now. I'm just going to put it down to their animals, basically. So your sharks, your turtle, Leviathan, that is, and I can't remember the name of the sharks now, bugger. But anyway, you got your sharks, your Leviathan, your Eidolons as well, sea and storm, and they have all became better, and the Eidolons have came down in points, which is great. Okay, and like I say, as you can guess of when I've reviewed the last armies, I'm not breaking down all the rules and stuff. There's plenty of videos out there already for you guys to see that. Like the Honest Wargamer as an example, have done a great job on that, but I'm just giving you a summary. So as these other units have become good, Deepkin players, you know, that's fucking amazing, because up until now it's just been eel spam the whole time, because the eels are just unbelievably good compared to the rest of the other units in that army. Now they've got a bit more competition. Okay, I can definitely see eels including one shark, because if you go for a shark with like a net gun, you can basically make the enemy, if they get hit by it, not be able to pardon. So I can see like people including one shark. As the aura ability on the aspect of the storm, I believe it is, has got bigger to be able to help out your Namarti Thralls and Reavers and stuff. It means that, oh, you could take them as well, you could give them a go, you know, a bit better. And as they've came down in points as well for the Eidolons, you know, it's worth a go. And also the addition of mount traits is nice as well. Mount traits are just cool. I was going to say, like, they're not game breaking, but I suppose like the gruesome bite for the Terrorgeist in my Flesh-Eater Courts means that it's re-rolling his hit rolls on those hits that do 6s are 6 more wounds, so that's pretty damn good mount trait. And I'm not saying the mount traits here are as good as that or better, but it's a nice addition, and mainly it's just a cool thing. You're just giving them a mount trait. I just like the idea of making the mounts stronger. So yeah, I'm a fan of that. However, what I will say as a negative for this is that eels are still the strongest way to play Idoneth Deepkin. And with a mount trait, you can make the king more survivable, so it's even harder to deal with a 27-man eel list. And as someone who's fought like twice of those in a row at a tournament, again, it's similar to, like I said, with the Stormcast. It's very, very uninteractive. The Stormcast was just stupid, but this was not fun either. And the fact that king's harder to kill now, he really, really is going to help those eels on turn 3 or turn 2. Yeah, that's annoying. But what I'm hoping is that Idoneth Deepkin players are now going to try out the other units, because the only way eels were going to be not the strongest way to play Idoneth Deepkin anymore is if they nerfed Mozarguard, which I'm not saying they need to, but I think Mozarguard they're not broken, but they are overpowered. In the same way that Marauders are broken, or like, sorry, not broken, but like overpowered, or like a Terrorgeist is overpowered. You know, they just need to rein it in because the size of their bases, man, it's hard to screen properly, okay? And with their bloody range of their lightning when they had Charger and their bloody spears. But anyway, hopefully we'll see some changes. And I think Idoneth Deepkin players are going to welcome the chance to try something else out in their army rather than just spamming the same unit if they have any shred of their humanity left inside them. Okay, so that was the Idoneth Deepkin. Just looking in the chat, and Furious said, I like the idea of Stormcast. Better delicious. Yeah, it's nice to see that they've got a bit better, because like I say, I am Agent Nagash and I have a strong hatred for Stormcast, but I do admit, you know, they're not the strongest army at the moment, and they do have some weaknesses, so it's nice to see that there's a bit of a fresher way to play them, as they don't really have many allegiance abilities. They have like good sub-allegiances, but they don't have like many generic allegiance abilities, so it's nice for them to just replace that with something else. Yes, you're not teleporting down as easy as you were before through the lightning, but here we are, it's a new way to play. Okay, so going on to the next one, and this is a little bit different because Idolaters, why did they bother is my my relation to this one, because this is the Slaves to Darkness part of the Morathi's Broken Realm book, and I was not happy when I read the update for Slaves to Darkness at all. And not that, oh, it's now made Slaves to Darkness worse. No, but it was adding something new to Slaves to Darkness that is useless. Like, yeah, it really is bad. And also the other part of it is I think they are lazy with it as well. Because, okay, I'll say one good thing about them, okay? If you go, what's it called, like, Idolaters, or however it's pronounced. If you take that sub-allegiance, okay? Your War Shrine prayers, and if you take a chariot or Gorby's chariot, can also take a prayer if he's made to be the hero. Like I say, read the narrative and it's cooler. But if you don't read the narrative, it's a bit weird. But anyway, you can take a chariot to be a hero. He can become a priest, right? And then he also, like I say, turns to a hero and turns into a leader, and your War Shrines turn into leaders. And then, obviously, because he's a priest, he gets access to 6 prayers, which they are all kind of a bit naff and not as good as the War Shrine prayer, and he can only pick units that have the same keyword as the prayer he wants to bestow upon them. So that's pretty annoying. And then, but like I said, I was trying to say a positive about this, okay? The positive is you get +1 to your prayers. So your prayers are only failing on 1s, which is great. You know, I've recently been trying to test out a list because the AOS coach has asked me to go onto his channel next month to talk about the Broken Realms Morathi, in particular the Idolaters as the new sub-allegiance for the Slaves of Darkness, and he has asked me to come up with 2 lists that you could run for them, which would be not too bad. And I have agreed to do that because I think that it's important to at least try with sub-allegiance. Don't just say it's bad, at least try, okay? And it turns out the only way you really to be competitive with them is I've had a few games now, and I've had on the TTS with Luke and with a guy called Ethan as well from the Discord. And the best way to be with them is to spam the overpowered unit, which is the Marauders. So how I play the army is I have a block of 40 Marauders because my humanity will not allow me to include more than that in my army. And I teleport that straight into my enemy by teleporting 9 inches away from my enemy via Bellacore and a spell. And then that means that they've got basically a charge against the enemy where they only fail on a double one. Because how the Marauders charge is absolutely ridiculous and is, I wouldn't say broken because it doesn't break the game like I described with those Stormcasts. But it sure is overpowered and needs to be fixed. Because how they charge is, you're your 2 charge dice. You match your, you turn your lowest dice into a 6. And if you got a double in your dice, you turn one of the dice into a 6. So that means that you can only, the minimum you can get is an 8-inch charge. But your Hornblower gives you +1 to charge. So you've always got that guaranteed charge as long as you don't roll a double one. And I charge that into the enemy, okay? And then all that does is hold the enemy up until my Ruinbringer Battalion... Yeah, that's right, baby. We got a Ruinbringer Battalion, which is absolutely awesome, as it's not overplayed. And what that is, basically, I've taken 3 units of Chaos Knights, the Chaos Lord and Carcadrak, because he's fucking awesome, and a Gorby's Chariot, because I wanted to give a Gorby's Chariot a go, okay? And he is the general of the army, so he gets to do the prayers. He has got the command trait from the army that allows him to cast 2 prayers instead of 1, which basically just allows him to pick 2 Slaves of Darkness Khorne units that are wholly within 12 inches of him. And like I say, it doesn't have to be Khorne, but they're the keywords I've given, and they can reroll hit rolls. So it's not great, but it it's better than nothing, because it only fails on a 1, which is good, right? And he can put it on himself if he needs to, and he can do quite a bit of work, that Gorby's Chariot. But don't think too much of him. Don't think, oh, he can do... Don't go into the game thinking he can do quite a bit of work. I was thinking he can do nothing, and then he nicely surprised me. So the game plan: Marauders tie up the enemy, and then this cavalry mounted battalion charges into the enemy turn 2 after they've dealt with the Marauders. And what I've been doing is I'm just continuously locking the enemy in their deployment zone and trying to really damage and kill as many of the enemies as I can, especially when the Knights charge in. You got a good chance to kill a lot of the enemy, the majority of their force. And then after that, they have the battalion. That's right. After that, they then have to, well, to be fair, deal with the battalions of the Knights and stuff. And then, if they manage to defeat all that, they have the objectives to try and take. So it works quite well, that list, but I haven't gone up against anything that can deep strike against me, because my whole force is just going forward in one wave, hitting the enemy being the Marauders, second wave being all the mounted units. Other than that, I just have a few 1 model units scattered around. So if the enemy could deep strike behind me, I don't really have anything I can really do to counter that. I've got Better Call, we can go after them maybe, or a War Shrine or 2, but I don't have much, okay? So this list that I've been running has won me 3 games so far, but I haven't gone against anything that can deep strike against me, so I haven't played a list that exploits my weakness yet. So I don't want to go, oh, it's a very good list, because I haven't gone against an army that really exploits my weakness. So until I do that and see how I do, or I haven't even failed the teleporting spell for the Marauders as well, so I can't really give a fair assessment. I need to not get that teleport off, see what I'm going to have to do with the Marauders if they can't teleport in, and really play a different game plan before I can give a definitive answer on how good that list is. All I can say is so far so good, because like I say, with the prayers only failing on 1s, that means the Marauders are almost guaranteed, so they're getting reroll hit rolls and wound rolls through the prayer of like Chaos or Chaos Undivided, but the first part helps just any Slaves of Darkness mortal unit. And then also the Zeech one as well, the Zeech prayer that gives Marauders reroll saves, so they've got a 5-up save rerolling, which is huge. And then as long as you make your Chaos Lord and Carcadrak in range of the Marauders for Inspiring Presence, you really are bogging down the enemy with that one. Okay, so I really feel like I've done a good job at trying to talk positively about the Idolaters. Now, the bad part, okay? So, firstly, they say to you, what you want to do is you want to take cultists in this army, because cultists can now do the ridiculous charge like the Marauders, but not as good as Marauders, as most of them, if not all of them, are not getting +1 to charge because of a Hornblower. So they're failing on a 2 and a 3 charge in terms of being 9 inches away from the enemy. So there's that, right? Also, the cultists are not all on 25mm bases, and the majority of them are on 32mm bases, or at least not 25. There might be a 28mm in there as well. But so that basically sucks, because less of them are attacking the enemy. And then the biggest thing that sucks for the cultists in this army that's like, go on, it makes you want to take cultists, is because they can't take a Mark of Chaos. And the Mark of Chaos in the Aura of Chaos ability, where I have reviewed, if you want to have more details on that, go check out my Allegiance ability video for the Slaves of Darkness part 1 of their army review, is crucial to how the Slaves of Darkness synergy works, and is what turns their alright average units to really effective units. So the fact that the cultists can't have that is a shame, alright? So that means that you can't take big blocks of cultists. And I've considered doing that, and I thought about doing it, but it just doesn't work out. It really doesn't. The only big block you could take is Untamed Beasts you could take, and just try and run them up the board and string them out, and it's just like a barrier for the enemy to get past. Like, because they can do that like movement before the game starts. So that's something I can see them being used as. The only other thing I can see them being used as is they count as battle line, right? So you could have some Iron Golems for 70 points, being cheap, maybe replacing the Chaos Spawns you had for holding objectives. You can have those Iron Golems holding you back objectives for 70 points each. And then a cool thing is that if they need to charge something just to bog down an enemy unit or something to stop them getting your objective, they've got a good charge ability. Basically, you know, turning the lowest die on that to D6 charge roll into a 6. And the great thing about the Iron Golems is it's a 4-up save. If they haven't made a normal move, they reroll save rolls. So you can see how they make good back objectives. You could also go with Unmade to make the enemy not be able to retreat, but they've got a 6-up save, so the enemy will probably be able to kill them in the turn that you charge them, maybe, depending on how you charge them. You could try and tag them. But I've done a lot of thought behind this, and I really want cultists to be good, and I've done a big review on the cultists as well. But you can't take them in big blocks in this army. That's how, anyway, when I'm list building, I really wanted to. I just consider maybe one big block of Iron Golems to be stretched out in front of the rest of your army, just as a barrier, maybe, depending on who you're fighting. But of course, when I'm building lists, I'm thinking if you go to a tournament, so you wouldn't have a clue who you're fighting. So with that, I would say that you can still take cultists in this, and they can do well, but don't think big. Don't think they're replacing your Marauders. It's minimum size units is what I'd say on that one. And then this army also gets a bonus if it's fighting against priests as well, but that's not really big. I mean, you've got characters that I know Archaon's a priest, so you have got some bigger characters than you would think, but it's not that cool. And then also the battalion for this sub-allegiance again, where basically it's like, oh, it's the chariot battalion. If you really want to go chariots, you take this. Right, in my honest opinion, it's turning your chariot main weapon, you know, like the great blade sort of thing, of your chariots, it's making their damage D3 instead of 2. Which I think is really bad. I'd rather have 2 damage rather than D3. Anyway, there's a way for you to be able to do it on Mortal Wounds as well, but it's just not worth it. It's an expensive battalion as well. And you also will need to be undivided in that battalion. Great. And there's the second part of that battalion is good because you can pick one of your units and within range of your hero chariot, and essentially you add 1 to hit rolls. That's cool, yeah, that's great. What mark do you have to be? Undivided. Right, okay, that's, in my opinion, is the worst mark. So I'm not going to be picking that. And then the very, very, very finest cherry on the top that they could find in the shitter was the fact that if you really want to take the battalion, you want to be cool and narrative, because to be fair, you know, the narrative does reflect how this works again, but they've done a really bad job on it basically. And so what it means is if you take the battalion and you really try to make it work, you are now missing out on an artifact. Because that's right, people, they decided to not give this sub-allegiance any artifacts or power. So then you turn to the realms, and people say the realm artifacts are a load of shit. Some of them are alright. I'm not gonna say that. Some of them can be good. Making my Chaos Lord and Karkdrak re-roll his charges from the Gur artifact and realm beast isn't bad, right? But the problem is when you include a battalion in here, because then you go like, oh, okay, where am I going to get the second artifact? Oh, I'll go to this Slaves Darkness book and just pick one of their generic artifacts. Yeah, they don't have any, hence why I went to the realms. But by picking that one from the Realm of Beast, for example, that means my army's from the Realm of Beast. I can't just pick one from Gairan from the Realm of Life as well. So yeah, I'm paying more points for a battalion than it's worth now because I'm not getting that extra artifact. And why didn't they include any artifacts? For no reason at all. They've given you 6 crap prayers instead. If you really want prayers, you're going to include a war shrine in their way with better prayers. So, yeah, it's... I know I'm just sounding like I've been complaining for the last probably 10 minutes and stuff. And in all honesty, I have been complaining because I was really looking forward to having new ways to play my Slaves of Darkness, and not because I'm fed up of how I'm playing them. I think they're a really cool, interesting army, but like when they're promising like new ways to play and it's focused around chariots, I'm like, yes, I love the chariots. They're not very good, but I want to see what I can do with them. And then they bring this out, and it's like they basically just shit on them. So that is sad, and that's why it's in a big bold and red of why did they bother? Because the other thing to remember is that this could be the only book that includes Slaves of Darkness. I'm not talking about Blades of Khorne, Hedonites of Slaanesh, and blah, 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 blah. This could be the only Broken Realm book that includes the Slaves of Darkness. And this was our shot. And this is what we got. And here we are. Okay, but what I will say with this is I'm still going on the AOS Coaches channel next month, and I'm going to come up with 2 later lists that I can try and be as competitive as I can with them. But unfortunately, what I'm going to have to tell you is that it'll be by just taking like the most powerful stuff out of Slaves of Darkness. The sub-allegiance doesn't even come into it. I'm just taking powerful things from Slaves of Darkness, i.e. Marauders, and then putting them into a bad sub-allegiance. So it's not even like, oh, what makes you put them in that sub-allegiance? You know, what makes them better? Nothing. I would literally rather take them than any other sub-allegiance. The only good thing about this sub-allegiance is you get +1 to your prayer rolls, which you can't really underestimate how good it is to only fail prayers on 1. But with all the other stuff I'm missing out on, like Ravengers, spawning 10 Chaos Marauders a turn, like, it just doesn't compare. So I'll just quickly have a look at the chat. So we've got Sean saying, hi dudes, hi mate, hope you're okay. We've got Ethan saying all their abilities are cool, and unlike their aesthetic also follows this, but the 6+ save makes them straight useless. Yeah, this is it's talking about the cultists and the Warcry warbands, and this is something me and Ethan have had a chat with. I've actually, like I said, I had a game against him with his Lumineth, and I managed to win it because basically I took Marauders instead of cultists, and the cultists are cool. There's a reason why I literally spent about an hour reviewing the entire cultist warbands, because I think they're awesome and I really try and find ways to make them work. Just not on big blocks. You can't make... I mean, I looked at trying to make half the army cultists, like half the 1,000 points out of... Well, making 1,000 points out of 2,000 points cultists, and it just doesn't work. Unfortunately with that one. But here we are. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's someone else out there who's doing really well. And to be honest, I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope this is better than I feel. And I will continue from now until I do that video as coach, which is halfway through December, early December sort of time. So I still have a time for a few more games to try out, okay? I need to test a second list. And maybe I will include some cultists in that one. And we'll see how it goes. But only good thing about this one is you're getting +1 to your prayer rolls, which is good. But it's not worth missing out on the other stuff, in summary. Which is really sad. And then the fact they didn't give you any artifacts is just like, maybe it's alright. Maybe they tried to do something and then they don't give you any artifacts. You go, oh, right, no, this is just a straight kick in the teeth of any hope. So here we are. But anyway, I don't want to keep on going on and complaining and stuff, so I will end the video here. But like I said, this has been my what I like and what I dislike about... the Morathi Broken Realm book. It hasn't been what I planned to be, just like flipping through the pages and seeing how we seeing what I overall thoughts of this book, just, you know, with a down cam looking at it, because my basically my order for Broken Realms mucked up and then eventually had to be cancelled, and then that meant that I couldn't guarantee having a new Broken Realm Morathi book by this weekend. I ended up buying it on the app, so I couldn't flick through it because it's on my phone, obviously. So I decided to do a short PowerPoint anyway, just going over what I like and what I dislike about the book. If you want someone who reviews all the intricacies of the book and all the narrative, what I'd say is, for the narrative, go check out 2 Plus Tough, like I mentioned. Fantastic chap, brilliant videos. If you want pure rules, go The Honest Wargamer, very in-depth there. But if you want a mixture of both, check out Vince and Chella from Warhammer Weekly, as they do a good job at putting the lore at the end of the video as well. So they do spoilers, but it means that you won't come into it unless you accidentally skip all the way to the end. So anyway, guys, go check that out if you would like a little bit more. But I just want to say thank you very much, guys. I can see there's been quite a few of you in the chat, and I really do appreciate that. This is my second live video of today. I saw there was loads of you in the Warhammer preview one, which was absolutely honestly great for me to see, guys. It really makes the world when I can see that there's a lot of people interested in these sort of topics. So I've been really glad to hear that. So what I will say, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please smash that like button and that subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber already, please click that. And like I said, the like button, as that massively does help the channel. It's absolutely free for you guys to do so. And it helps let YouTube know that other people may find this video useful, of course. And if you are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell notification so it means that you never miss any of my videos. And then I want to do a massive shout out to my patrons, who, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do this YouTube channel. So a huge thank you to them. I owe them a lot of respect. And if you'd like to support this channel as well, you can check out my Patreon, which will be a link in the description down below after I've properly uploaded this video. And anything you could give, guys, even just from $1 a month, is what goes towards me being able to do this channel and try and help as many people as possible. So, like I say, check that out if you'd like to. Okay, so remember, guys, until next time, remember to stay safe, of course, wash your hands, wear a mask, stay safe, and, of course, as always, remember, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.